Yeah, so let's start maybe with a quick round of introductions. 0xAlpha, would love to hear a little bit about you, how you got into the DeFi space, and would love to hear more about Deri Protocol and what's new, what you guys are working on at the moment, and what we can look forward to.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Sammy. Hey, hello everyone. I'm 0xAlpha, the co-founder of Deri Protocol. Deri, as you probably already know, Deri is the leading derivative protocol on Binance Smart Chain. Quoting this formula on the front page of our website, Deri Protocol equals to perpetual futures plus everlasting options times decentralized, which says we provide a DeFi way to trade derivatives, including perpetual futures and everlasting options and more. And what's going on with us is in next week, we're going to roll out the Deri V3, the third version of Deri Protocol. And this is going to be in a partnership with Venus. So please stay tuned. And we're talking about that tonight.
0xAlpha, interested to hear this. James raised some really interesting points about how we're really measuring growth of DeFi. So TVL is one metric. I do agree with James, like not a very good metric to kind of get a more holistic view of overall growth. I think capital efficiency is definitely a really key part of it, but probably is now getting more and more attention. But I know that's an area you guys are thinking a lot about. So interested to hear more about how do you guys really think about that, and how are the ways that you guys are tackling that challenge?
Yeah. So this the keyword capital efficiency. Actually, capital efficiency is one of my favorite topics, as always. Ever since the launch of V1 which is in February 2022, 1 year ago, improving capital efficiency has been a mission of Deri Protocol. Um, I think it's fair to say that the evolution of Deri Protocol is the evolution of capital efficiency. And we are rolling out, just as I mentioned, we're rolling out Deri V3 next week. Which gonna bring the capital efficiency to a new level. Basically, we're gonna roll out a new mechanism called external custody, which we think this is going to be a new trend that defines the so-called DeFi 2.0. Specifically, the external custody refers to the practice of leveraging some other protocol to hold the liquidity involved in our trading business. In particular, we chose Venus to be the partnering protocol of our external custody. Meaning, what does that mean? It means the capital involved in Deri's trading business is actually stored in Venus. So the keyword of this partnership is, I think, can be summarized as division of jobs or division of work. When it comes to dealing with the liquidity, basically there are two roles: those who use the liquidity and those who manage the liquidity. If you think about how liquidity is being dealt with, so there are these two roles: user and manager. So currently, I think most of the DApps are really users of liquidity, and their protocol is one of them. However, I think a lot of the apps are playing the two roles actually simultaneously. The liquidity, so there are two roles: liquidity users and liquidity managers. But for most of the time, the liquidity users right now are playing the role of liquidity managers for themselves. And most of the time, this might not achieve the best capital efficiency. And that is what we learned from Deri V2 when we were looking to this capital efficiency issue of Deri's trading business. But by that, I'm not saying Deri V2 is of a very low capital efficiency. Quite the opposite. The capital efficiency of Deri V2, I think, has already been higher than I think any other DApps in this sector, the derivative sector. But we realize that if we just don't do the liquidity management part of the job ourselves and leave that job to somebody who specializes on this, then the capital efficiency would be even better and more scalable. And that's the idea of Deri V3. And that somebody specialized on this turns out to be Venus, the money market protocol, or called lending protocol, which is already naturally playing the role of managing liquidity. And that is why we think almost every project needs to answer this question. So what is the core of your business? Is it from that liquidity perspective, is the core of your business using liquidity or managing liquidity for some others? So if your project, the core of your project belongs to the former, then you might want to just separate the role of managing liquidity and leave it to someone specialized on this. So this is the basic idea of Deri V3. So I think that's a essential part of the DeFi 2.0.
That's really awesome. Definitely looking forward to the launch of V3 and learning more. So also interested to explore some of the different models around attracting liquidity in more sustainable ways, instead of or ways that kind of address issues around providing users with liquidity mining incentives from a project's native token. At this point in DeFi, I think it's something that's it has to be done. It's expected from users. There's not a lot of alternatives around it today, but there are kind of creative solutions around how to reduce some of the limitations and issues, particularly like a high and constant selling pressure on the token and other types of issues around that. 0xAlpha, interested to hear some of your thoughts around that, and how do you guys try to approach this particular issue in terms of sustainable liquidity growth?
Yeah, sustainable liquidity growth. I think in the end of the day, it still comes back to the keyword capital efficiency. So so the liquidity that the liquidity providers provide the project, they provide it here for some purpose, right? So for whatever, so this is spot trading or like derivative trading, or it's a lending, or like leverage yielding, whatever, for some purpose. So you have to. So in the end of the day, is what your product delivers to the liquidity providers. So that is I think in long run, that is the only thing that matters to the liquidity growth, because that's the only thing that can attract your liquidity providers to be here for the long time. I mean, in short term, you can maybe provide like very high APY, like with your own project tokens or something like that. But obviously that's not a sustainable way. So the ideal model is kind of like right now so the ideal model is kind of like so right now I think for example Uniswap is one of the few projects that when they're not providing any project tokens as the incentive, but still they're both the trading volumes and their TVL are growing. So I think that's the role model that every project that needs to learn from. And so the reason of that is I think one big upgrade from like Uniswap V2 to V3 is about capital efficiency, right? So in the end of the day, it's still like how with every single cent of the liquidity that your liquidity providers send to your project, what you deliver for him or her. So that's the one thing that matters in the end of the day. So again, this brings us back to the topic, capital efficiency.
Interested to hear your thoughts about that, Deri, about 0xAlpha, around how do you guys think about going multi-chain, and how do some of these issues around capital efficiency affect those decision processes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, multi-chain is one thing we are currently exploring too. Actually, you probably know that Deri Protocol actually started as a multiple chain project. It's just with within our growth, and just gradually we become a Binance Smart Chain centered. Our community become Binance Smart Chain centered. But when we started, when we talk about multiple chain, we really means we deployed the apps on different chains, right? So this is like right now it's like a very popular practice for example, there's even project, I think they adopt not just multiple chain, but like it's like every chain policy, like SushiSwap. They pretty much deploys on every EVM compatible chain, right? But that's a different thing from what the multiple chain thing we're talking about here, because obviously the different the smart contracts of the SushiSwap on different chains, they don't communicate with each other. They're separate. But right now, the multiple chain we're talking about, and also we're exploring here, is that we try to unify things that are taking place on different blockchain networks. We are actually planning to add cross-chain features in the next version of Deri Protocol, the Deri V4. We're already in talks with cross-chain infrastructure projects like AnySwap and also a Seller network. So they are right now building the infrastructure for the apps to call functions across networks. For example, you can call a function within a smart contracts on Ethereum from a smart contract on Binance Smart Chain. So imagine if that channel has been built, one thing we can do is here, you can actually leverage the right now all the huge TVLs on Ethereum, but you can, but in the same time, you leverage the low gas cost on Binance Smart Chain, right? So, so what if you want to, say you can put some of those complicated or advanced functionalities, which are usually gas consuming. For example, derivative trading is one good example. A good example for that. For the everlasting options trading on their protocol, they are pretty gas consuming. So so that actually from the function running perspective is proper on Binance Smart Chain. But if this cross-chain communication channel has been well built, then we can imagine we can build something. The liquidity pool is across two chains, so that all the trading happens on Binance Smart Chain, but in the same time we can leverage the liquidity on Ethereum. So that's one possibility, and that's also something we are imagining on Deri V4. And we are already discussing with AnySwap and the Standard Network for that kind of possibilities.
That's super cool. So does that mean we can expect in V4 to see external custody partners that are on other chains, right?
Yes, exactly. You got it. That's the point. So 2022 is going to be a super exciting year for Deri Protocol. There will be a number of major milestones for us. Next week, we're going to roll out Deri V3, which I discussed just now. This is be with a partnership with the Venus Protocol too, and I think the partnership is going to be a defining partnership for the so-called DeFi 2.0, and it will bring the capital efficiency of derivative trading to a new level. What's also important in the Deri V3 is that we have a brand new DPMM. Our new AMM model, which actually universally supports all of the so-called funding fee-based perpetual derivatives, including the two that we currently support, the perpetual futures and the everlasting options, but will very soon support the power perps, and many more funding fee-based perpetual derivatives will be supported next. And as I pointed out, is the new DPMM will support these derivatives, all of these derivatives universally, meaning one pool can support even multiple different kinds of derivatives. So we're going to organize the liquidity for derivative trading in a very new way. So that's all of the amazing things that will come with Deri 3. And also just now, I just realized I accidentally leaked what's going on with Deri secretly, the Deri 4. The thing actually that's something we've never talked about before, but just now Sammy mentioned this cross-chain topic, and I accidentally leaked that secret, which is fine. So that's going to be another major milestone in this year, 2022. So everybody, please stay tuned for what will happen with Deri Protocol.